right, man. So
Yeah.
let's just start off with an introduction.
All right.
So you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. All right, yeah. So pretty much, I'm Will Wasmer. I go by Wasabi, and that's my gamer tag. And I've been playing Melee for like a little bit over 4 years now. Like my fourth year anniversary was around like August. Fox main. Besides that, that's pretty much it. I don't have like any history behind like in other other games in the past or anything. I like used to row, and then I used to play rugby back in college. So I really just got into Melee because there was a charity tournament and I was injured for rugby, and there was free Chipotle, so I went for that.
Free
Uh,
Chipotle. I've never heard of that as an introduction story.
Dude, I'm not a doc kid. Even though I came up with the doc, I started because of free Chipotle.
Wow,
So I'm a Chipotle kid. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Chipotle kids. That's a good idea for the name.
Ooh, that's cool.
We'll put it down. All right, cool. My name is JD. I used to go by Poonslayer, and then Poonslayer 7, and then JD. I started playing almost exactly around the time as the doc, but before that, I would host tournaments in high school, and this was like 2012 when I was familiar with the scene. I watched like the Apex videos, like I was familiar with the top level, the things
Oh, that's it.
that squeaked out into the mainstream, and through those videos, it kind of latched onto my normal love of the game since it came out when I was 6 and I played it when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So throughout high school, I would host these tournaments in my house, and my friends would host as well. And we would play on like LCDs. We didn't know what wave dashing really was. Well, we knew what it was, but it was impractical, stuff like that. And I would actually end up winning most of those tournaments. I won, I think, 4 out of the 5, and the one I lost to this Peach player who really inflamed my desire to get good at the matchup. But besides that, about a week after the doc came out, I was a freshman in college, and I watched the whole thing front to back, and then taught myself how to wave dash that day. And we were in upstate New York. I kind of want to talk about upstate a little bit today too, but
Oh yeah, because we were both from upstate. I forgot to mention that.
right. And we kind of cross paths now and then, as people in upstate did. They didn't have an opportunity to really see each other too much, but that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, just Q's Town beatdown.
Yeah. Oh man, those tournaments were actually kind of great. Now thinking back at them,
They were always run well.
they were, and no one in the world probably knows except for the people who went to them. But anyway, those were our introductions. We have a bunch of topics we want to get to, so let's just hop right into it. Well, let's choose, because the top 2 we have are picking a title for the show
Yeah.
and talking about what we want the show to be.
Yeah.
So I vote that we talk about what the show should be, and then maybe at the end we could brainstorm some names. What do you think?
I'm down with that.
Okay, cool. Do you want to go first, or do you want to go second?
Yeah, I can go first on this.
Sure.
So like I feel like you can divide like what this show is to in like 2 different directions. And like one is like obviously for the viewer standpoint, because we're doing this podcast and we're making it public, so definitely for that. But also I think one thing that might be easily forgotten is like what do we see the show as like for us,
Right.
So I had 2 answers, and really like for the viewers, as we talked about over our phone call, where this idea to do a podcast sort of started was, there's not a lot of people to relate to. It's like to like as you're going up, and like there's no sort of story that documents even like the come up or the grind of something like that, aside from like those meteoric rises of like Zane or Cody or Toussaint, right? Cody
Right.
S and IBDW. Like unless it's like documented like that, you don't really get it. Like what I'd love is like to actually know like Dark Team's story of the come up, or Smuckers, because they have very compelling stories, in itself. Like Smuckers used to be a Fox main, I think a Pikachu main briefly. Darktooth balancing like college and like, I think he made top 100 on his 5th year.
Right.
And then like Slox used to be play main every character in the book, and had hand problems, and now he doesn't have hand problems. So it's like really that would be also really interesting because Slox is both old school but like has continually like evolved and changed.
Yeah. And,
so really like documenting that for us and for other people to like sort of see and relate to is sort of what I see
right.
the podcast for other people.
And that goes to anyone. Like, I don't want to think that me and you are particularly special. It's just that
sure, yeah.
anyone that's pursuing this, I think, is a worthy person to have document this. And so we are just doing it because we have the power to do it for ourselves. So
it's not that we're anything special. We're both 4 or 5 years in. Like you're PR'd, I'm not yet. But we're not top 100 either. We're both like out of college and working. So it's sort of like there's a lot of ways I think people can relate to it.
Right. So I'm going to jump in here. I want to hear more about what you want, but I'm going to give you a little break.
Yeah, go for it.
So one thing I want from this is, and this is another thing we talked about on our call, but an opportunity to kind of check in with someone else in a very similar position to me. Someone else who I feel like me and you have a similar attitude towards the game, how we apply it to our lives, how we think of ourselves as players and as people, I think are similarly aligned. And as it relates to our careers, at least in Melee, I think it's really beneficial to just have someone to kind of share our experiences with. And so recording it is almost just a secondary thing. I want to have the chance to, figure out certain problems that only someone in my situation could understand. I have, we both have plenty of friends outside of the community that wouldn't be able to understand the very specific kind of mental issues that go into competing in Melee. But there's also friends that we have in the community that we can't really complain to because we're either better than them drastically or worse.
Yeah.
And they won't really be able to carry that same conversation. So having someone like you, who I've always felt to be equal in skill, not necessarily rank, because I've gotten some good wins that really put me over that edge, but when we play, it's always like, I don't know, it's like it's always dead even. We have some good games, so
like the money match at Shine. I wish I recorded that.
Oh man, dude, that was amazing. It was on, like, we had onlookers for it was like a $5 money match, and we had someone watching that was as amazed as we were because oh man. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, it's finding that connection and kind of living in it as often as possible, because we both know that this game is really special, and I want the opportunity to tap into that on a weekly basis and from home, and not by playing net play, because I hate net play.
Me too, dude.
Me
too. Yeah. And you took really the words like right out of me, because that was like what I had like for the for us section is like we would be having these conversations regardless of if we did a podcast. Really, the podcast is more of just like us keeping in check, like that we don't talk, every few months or so,
Right.
Because like I felt like we had so much to catch up on at Shine, that we like barely scratched the surface.
And on that phone call too, I didn't realize how much I kind of wanted to talk to someone, and how much I wanted you to be the person I wanted to talk to. This is turning into a little bit of a love ballad.
Dude, it's cool.
Regardless.
It's cool.
Anything else you wanted to add for what we want the show to be?
I mean, aside from that, like, you really nailed like the for us section, I thought, really well. I think another thing to like factor in is like how like I think the other thing to mention is like you mentioned like it's hard to relate to other people because it's like either in skill level or something else. But I think another important thing is in terms of like life were very much in the same place.
Right.
Where we're like, very new to the workforce, but veteran enough to like be pushing forward in work.
Are you?
And like,
did you pass the year mark recently?
yeah, I passed. I graduated 2016, so I passed my 2-year mark actually.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you got a year on me then.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I was
Yeah.
actually yeah. But yeah, so I passed the 2-year mark, and it's like handling that, like handling like, like we're both in relationships and like all of that. So like balancing that is really important. Well, like not losing your identity as like a competitor. And I think like us talking is like it serves almost as like validation for like our motivations to still do well in this sort of community in Smash.
Right. Right. I want to keep because when you don't have a tournament for a long time, or Nebs fell apart. Well, Nebs is gone. Not even fell apart.
Nebs is dead. We can admit it.
Dead.
Like,
So,
I don't want to shout out like the Nebs team because they've done great things, but we can call it dead, right? Like,
the Nebs
after a certain point,
is dead.
Yeah.
The Nebs team is very much alive, but
Ren Price,
having sort, and then for me, I was very active in the Smashed Out series, and then it moved to New Rochelle, and it became much more of a commitment. So that's why I think this would be a great substitute.
Yeah.
And then it would keep me kind of motivated to put in the work, the tech skill grind, which
I feel that
recently I've been falling off on, and then very recently I've been getting back into it.
That's cool.
So that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. Also, was just how we handle how I think that's something we should talk about every week. How have you been practicing? And to not put any judgment on it, good or bad. Just to say this is how it went.
Yeah, rest is still practicing.
Right.
To be in all honesty, but yeah, I feel that, and like it's lonely, right? I think for me, like you were talking, like to keep you in check and motivations. I think I can keep my maybe like a little, like I feel like I practice normally like every day, or I do some analysis while I commute on the train and stuff like that, because like fuck driving. But I think for me, one thing I realized, especially when Nebs became like done, was like it's so lonely sometimes, to as a competitor it can be lonely,
Yeah, man.
So I think that's what I've been feeling ever since Nebs left, is like there's no one really to like just talk to as much. And it's not like a social aspect, but it's like of like I've been working on this, and I'm really struggling with that right now, and like I had this new idea, but I like it's like really more of like the competitor side of it.
Oh yeah.
Because like it became like a lot lonelier for me, where I felt like I was the only one, because like Nico or Ryobeat like started school and moved to New York and started a job, so like he's been like super busy, and like he's the only other person I know that like really is trying to grind and is like kind of following a similar path. And so like since I didn't get to hang out with him as much, it's just like hard to relate to anyone else I play with.
Right. And that's another thing too, is we both play Fox, and that's a bigger deal than I think we first thought about. This is another thing that on our call we kind of talked about like half an hour into it. We're like, dude, and we both play Fox. Like it's so specific, and that goes for any character too. I think two Falcons talking would be great also. But and this is something that just came to me from what you just said, but one thing that I want to see the show as is when people are practicing tech skill, maybe we could be the people they listen to be a little less lonely, that they could understand there's people out here that are on the grind, and through the successes or failures, however you want to put it, of me and your career, I hope that people can understand that as Fox players, as Spacey players, or just Melee players, that work is not fun, and it's something that it is work,
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, and we both main Fox, maybe both Young Link, if I end up buying a Switch.
Yeah, we'll talk about Ultimate too for sure, because it's going to be impossible not to.
That's so like we can. This should be like a different thing in itself. Like this should be like next episode. But like idea of like you're a Melee player, you're like you're gaining your skill, and then it's like, do you want to bounce 2 games after that? You know?
Right. I definitely want to keep, and I think you're on the same page. I want to keep this a Melee centered podcast.
Oh, for sure.
for
Yeah.
sure. But we're both gonna play Ultimate, and we're both gonna give our honest opinions, and we might. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever completely switch off of Ultimate. I mean, maybe we'll see, man. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, I don't. I've been looking for a Switch, so I'm trying to find a good deal.
Yeah,
Wow.
you gotta get one, man. They're dope.
No, I know. But eventually, but yeah, this will be mainly melee centric. But we can allow ourselves to get into the Ultimate hype for the next few weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll go there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. So the next thing we have in line, right, is, I don't know if you want like a particular order, but just like the next thing in line is like, I think we kind of said what do we hope to get out of this
yeah,
already? Like it already tied in.
yeah. You have any
Uh,
final thoughts on that?
Nothing. I feel like I've said everything. Like to document our journey, to like relate to someone, to kind of like be a good bridge between like anyone trying to get good at anything really. Like it doesn't even have to be melee, I guess, is like the only other thing I want to add, because like every person, regardless of whether it's melee or a different video game or a different, you know sport or competition whatsoever, it's like they go through the same things, right?
Yep.
It's really just a journey of a competitor than like a journey of melee players.
Yeah, and there's one thing I wanted to add is that me particularly, my preferred career path is something along the lines of podcasting and content creation and just media. So the experience of this is invaluable. Making a podcast has been on my agenda for a long time. So learning just the skills, and this is something that's kind of a general theme of Melee, is, it teaches discipline. It teaches how to lose, all these things that kind of branch out into more general life lessons. And then take that and make it specifically how to make a podcast or how to distribute on social media, how to brand, things like that are all these, secondary lessons that are going to help my entire career. And that's not the reason I'm doing it. It's just definitely,
It's a bonus.
It's definitely a bonus for sure.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I like this stuff too. And like I used to do a radio show actually back in college, which I forgot to mention.
Really?
Yeah, I did it off the crossbar. I did it with like my best friend from college, and we just kind of spitballed for an hour about soccer, and like ran through the results, ran through our own little fantasy league. And I don't know how many people listen to it, but I kind of just like talking, and so it just kind of suited me well. So like that's also a bonus for me, is like I really enjoyed that. So having something like that is gonna be pretty fun for me.
Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Just all the pieces are tying in.
Yeah.
So let's.
And we're both green foxes. I think that's the only other thing we need to mention. Which is why.
Ah, man.
Yeah.
The green foxes. That's not a bad.
Yeah.
Anyway. So let's talk about one more topic, and then maybe we'll take a break.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see. So these are some other things that are more general distribution strategy. Not trying to talk about that. Fun topics for the future. Okay, want to talk about maybe future fun topics, and then maybe we could hit one of these fun topics after the break.
Yeah, sure.
So I've got a couple. I have a few like maybe segment type things that might work well with a guest, but it could probably work with both of us too. There's the frame game. Have you ever played the frame game?
I've not. What is this frame game?
So the frame game is you pick a character at random.
Mm-hmm.
You pick a move at random.
Okay.
And you have to guess how long the entire animation is from front to back.
Oh, that's it.
So whoever's closest gets the point.
Ooh.
And it's easy to randomly generate because you have a list. I actually have a document. I think it's... I'll find it on the break, but you just pick a random character, random move, and then you guess. And whoever wins out of like 10 or so, or 11 to make it odd, whatever, wins the game.
Yeah.
So fun little segments like that. There's also... I have a bunch of trivia games too, but that's that's not quite topics. Do you have any topics you'd want to I have a few
Yeah,
more, but
they're more. I interpreted the thing as like more like segments or something that we could have.
yeah. Those are
One,
different than what we really
yeah,
discussed, but just maybe that's what came to my mind first, I suppose.
yeah, of course. Well, one other thing I thought is like definitely having a way to like maybe it's not fun topics, but like definitely having a way to like for people to do like a Q&A section,
Right.
where we can pick a few really interesting questions from like the week or so and go for it. And like other stuff are like more segments. So I feel like when we talk about the segment, like different sort of segments we could be talking about, then that's it. So I don't really have a fun topic right now, but if I think of any, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, the
Oh,
future.
New York history.
New York
That's the only.
history. Hmm. Oh, and like player shout outs, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, player shoutouts. I think yeah, player shoutouts. Like, if we had to do one now, you know who actually I would give it to?
Who's that? We could just do one right now.
Yeah, yeah. I have it ready. I mean, I think there's two players actually. I think are sick right now.
Wasabi and JD.
Well, yes, for always. Like that's top of the list.
Sure.
Or JD and Wasabi. Order might switch sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think I have to shout out Miso, who like kind of yeah after Omega he kind of went a little bit like just like did net play, like kind of worked on some stuff quietly as Nebs like kind of officially died out, but came back and like in 1 week he's beaten me, Big Kid, JoJo, and Beerman.
What?
Yeah,
That's really good.
yeah.
That's like that. Wow. Okay. So that's the beginning of a like a PR reveal type thing, because
Yeah, like
those are
that's a breakout.
that
Like
is
that's
a
his
breakout.
first breakout.
That's all. Has he been practicing? Have you spoken to him about what
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
been
we've
up
been
to?
playing. He comes over to my place. He started back because he just did net play for a few months, like disappeared, came back all of a sudden, and then yeah, like he leveled up and like yeah, I mean he never stopped practicing, but like and it was all at different tournaments. Like he beat me and Big Kid in the same tournament, then he beat JoJo at one Nebs Pioneers, and then Beerman at the next Nebs Pioneers.
Wow.
So like it's like also just consistency, right? Because it didn't happen like all in one tournament.
Now, forgive me for my ignorance. He's a Falcon, correct?
Yes, which is
Okay.
also crazier because we've seen what Beerman does to Falcons,
Yeah, and Big Kid too is no slouch.
and Big Kid is no slouch.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want
And
to. Were those recorded? Because I want to look over some of these and maybe we could.
Mine wasn't recorded.
Okay.
We need to talk to Gabe about the Pioneers. Columbia probably wasn't recorded, but we could check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Miso, I wanna say that I challenge you to a money match.
Oh.
Because
Oh damn.
that sounds fun. And it's a respectful money match, man. I love playing new people, and I won't really understand how good you are until we do battle. So you could accept via DM, or you could just share this and generate some hype for ourselves. Do us both a favor.
For sure. And yeah, I'll pass it on. I'll definitely pass it on.
Good. Yeah, maybe I'll have to come over.
Oh, dude, that would be hype. That would be a hype training fest.
Anyway,
But another quick one.
Okay,
I mean,
quick one.
speaking of
Quick
clocks,
one.
you just have to mention that, right? You told me that.
Wait, I'm sorry.
You told me Smokey 3030 slots.
Yeah, Smokey. I want to give Smokey his own segment, so let's hold out on that. But Smokey
Me too.
did
I
3-0
agree.
slots in tournament.
All right.
Also, he's
Yeah,
PR. Does he
it's
really need
Miso's
another?
week. We'll give it to Miso.
All right, Miso won this round of who gets the shout out.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? You want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to figure out a title for the show.
Yeah.
So, do you want to kick it off? Do you want to read one out and say what you think?
Yeah. So I'll start with the one that definitely made me chuckle the hardest, which was SSB Wannabes.
Uh,
Just has a great ring to it.
it kind of does, doesn't it?
It really is. I like it. I like it.
So what does that imply, right? So we got to think when people are scrolling through, the top 10 podcasts
Yeah.
where we'll inevitably be, we want the name to speak to them and have them understand what we're about.
Mm-hmm.
SSB Wannabes is great because if we have, let's say, 2 lines of text underneath our title to explain it, that goes along with a lot of these, search functions and whatnot. SSB, we could talk about Super Smash Bros. In the title. 2 Super Smash Bros. Competitive players. Wannabes, I also I like how it rhymes with wasabi a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that just came to me,
I like
whatever. But I think that kind of says it all. It's not taking ourselves too seriously because we never really reached that point of being entitled, I hope.
No, I definitely agree on that.
We're just wannabes. We're SSB wannabes.
Yeah. I think it's nice because it's flexible where it's like the chat isn't like I think not the chat. The podcast isn't like it should be like an intimate sort of like not personal but like it shouldn't be like it's a little bit on the fly, right? And I think that it conveys the casualness of the podcast where that's where really will like be more honest,
Right.
like we have like loose ideas of what we'll talk about and then we like kind of go into it and then if our path goes somewhere else like that's cool too.
Right.
And I think it's like it's a very approachable title, I think is what I'm saying. Like you see it and it's not like oh I'm like not really about like that sort of like thing in Melee because like I think the great thing about Melee is like as much as I'm very much set on what I want to do, there's like if you're on a highway there's so many exits to like leave and like be like I'm happy here in this Melee community, right?
Sure.
And I think that's like also something that like isn't represented in the game as much because it's very pro player centric, I think.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So I think that's what I like about it is sort of the casualness to it, that it's approachable.
And a final thought before we move on is I think we're kind of at the middle ground right now. We're mid-tier players. We are not completely satisfied with where we're at skill-wise or ranking-wise or respect-wise.
Yeah.
We're wannabes.
We are.
Given the choice, we'd go to Summit,
Oh, for sure.
So
I'll be honest, I've already thought about, if I ever got into that position, like how do I get people to line up votes? I got a few interesting ideas.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe this will be it, man.
Maybe this will be it.
Maybe it'll lead to Summit. Anyway, there's one I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The next era. Now, hear me out on this. This is a double meaning type deal, and this leans into 2 different things.
Yeah.
One is looking at players like me and you, and what we represent, which is the bubbling under tier of rising skill within the Melee community, the infamous 150 to 500, top ranking players that are just about to start taking names and bracket upsets. Already kind of doing that in tournament now, right? So
you have a few good wins.
Yeah, so the next era in that sense. But also the timing of when we're starting this is a new era of Melee, which is when Ultimate is coming out. And it's kind of leaning into how that's going to affect all of this, how it's going to affect the Melee community, how it's going to affect Smash and esports, and how, we're always just going to be vessels of our own experience. I hope that sounded pretentious, but whatever. And the next era is kind of looking at that as, okay, this is where we're at. Let's be ourselves and reflect on it.
Mm-hmm. I like that. What's interesting, I think, is I definitely agree with all of that. And I did not think when you said that it would go like that way.
Sure.
I actually thought the meaning behind it was like totally different, which is interesting.
What did you think?
I thought the next era is like, because I think, like, and it's I admit it's like a grandiose assumption, but like it's like I sort of viewed it as like, we're getting old, you know,
Okay.
just put it straight. And it's not that we're old or anything like that. Like it's just I think there's the idea that like Melee players are now becoming older is something that like people end up forgetting, right? Because like look at other FGCs like Daigo, Tokido, like in Street Fighter. I'm referencing Street Fighter here. They're all actually in their 30s, and so I think it's when I saw Next Era, I thought about it as like a way of like the traditional era of like when you're like kind of trying to become like this sort of like top player in whatever game you choose is like sort of like in your like high school college years, right? But like we're past that, and that's not a bad thing or anything. It's just we have different responsibilities and stuff like that, like work and girlfriends and stuff like that.
Right.
So I thought of it as that, if I were to be honest.
Wow, I like that as well. I mean, it kind of contradicts my first point, but
that's why I'm here.
Let's give it a 2.5 meaning.
Yeah.
But great. Okay, do you want to pick another one?
Yeah. I think JD and Will become pro gamers is just. I like the title. It's simple. It's to the point. It says everything, and it's just like one of those YouTube. It's like perfect for YouTube, right? Like you see it on YouTube, and you're like, oh, okay,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's documenting,
yeah,
our practice and our tournament wins and losses, and it's looking at more, where, dude, I like all of these. First, man,
how about the Next Era SSB Wannabes, JD and Will become pro gamers?
How about the Next Era of SSB pro gamers featuring JD and Will, the tryhard breadwinners? All right, let's
tryhard. Yeah.
All right, so the next two are the tryhards.
How about just TSTBJ, which is just the first. All right, but what are you saying?
Okay, tryhards and the breadwinners are the lower tiers of these, in my opinion.
Yeah,
tryhards is a fun little thing, but I think it doesn't quite capture us right now. I mean, if I can't look at myself as a tryhard anymore. So that's a little misleading. And the breadwinners, I don't remember the last time I won a tournament, so.
That's what I was gonna say. It's hard to win money in New York,
dude.
It's really hard.
It's a man. We have so many good topics because I could talk about this for 20 minutes.
I know, and then it's just so hard to win in New York, dude. It's just like, man, I wish there was a tournament where I consistently just made $30.
I used to have that actually smashed out. There was a time where I had to beat out Vortex, but after he stopped going, it became for like 2 months. I would go and I would win $40.
That's nice.
And I would just be like, all right, sweet. And I'd go, and it was 20 minutes away from my house. But that was it. That's the only time I've ever experienced that, and it felt pretty good.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Yeah,
so,
and then the only thing with tryhards is I think I am a tryhard, but again, I think it's we're really talking about like, I don't think it encompasses all of us. I think that's the big thing for me. Right. I think there's so much more than us being serious about Melee in this podcast. And so I feel like it's so restrictive, and it gives sort of this like, people, if someone saw it, like if I saw it, I would think I knew everything about the podcast already. Right. Which is like, for all intents and purposes, like people like do make those assumptions.
Right. Well, okay, so I got it down to a top 3.
Yeah.
So,
and if I come up, you know, with any good ones, I'll let you know.
Right. Well, I want to decide it right now, man. And
all right.
Unless you want to wait.
No, I think I'm. There's nothing calling to me, so I'm down to choose now.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So, Oh man, what are you doing on this Google Doc right now, bro?
Oh, I don't know.
Doing
I
some crazy
highlighted it.
stuff. All right, let's get rid of these two. That's free. I'm gonna rank mine in my
Okay.
head, just in my head right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna put it down.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna rank mine.
Okay, you could have just. So you agree? All right. So in third place we have the next era.
Yeah.
You know, it did its job in making me feel what's that feeling of nostalgia about your current moment? There's a term for that. You're,
I. Ugh.
man,
I do not.
I watch too many YouTube videos, but I like the way it made me feel. I don't know how it'll translate to a niche podcast title, but anyway, so number 2, you could take it.
Yeah. Number 2, JD and Will become pro gamers. I think it's a really solid second place here. I think the only thing is, it's very, I think, as straight to a point it is, and as good it is. I think there's so many titles like that's why then it wasn't my number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds like just Zach and Mira make a porno.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing, like great movie. Seth Rogen, good guy, but it just it just feels too much like that. I think.
I agree. So taking number 1, SSB Wannabes, man.
I like it.
I like it too. It rhymes.
It rhymes.
We already said it all, so that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if we have a patron or whatever, it's like welcome to the Wannabes. It just sounds like Wallabies. I don't know here.
That was a good tangent, man.
Because we're talking about all wallabies now, guys.
I'm gonna Google a wallaby because
they're just smaller kangaroos, I think.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. That was worth talking about.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we got the name, man. That's crazy.
All right, I like it. Yeah,
that's crazy. So, we're just about to wrap it up. I think so. There's one thing I wanted to do, and that is talk about our week coming up and any Melee related goals that we have for ourselves until next Thursday when we talk. Any upcoming tournaments or practice regimens or things like that.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So
yeah,
I have plans this weekend. Can't go to any tournaments.
Okay.
But one thing I wanted to do was to record a new sketch tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been sitting on a lot of different sketches lately, a lot of scripts and ideas. Mm-hmm. And so the one thing I really wanted to do as a content creator was to...
Wait, hold on. Before you talk about the actual sketch, we just should give a shout out to... Not a shout out, but to make aware that you also have aspirations as a content creator.
Right.
I don't think that really came through.
I talked about that a little bit, but...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wanna give...
And that you love comedy, right?
Right. That's the name of my channel, JD Comedy Gaming.
There we go. All right. Plug done.
Thanks, man.
Here's the skit. So what's the skit?
So I don't want to get into it. I want to just talk about the meta stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds
good.
Essentially, I'm looking to build up a little bit of a recurring character in my Poonslayer. I'm trying to bring back Poonslayer as a character, as just something that I could develop, because creating a character is a lot harder than it seems, but it's a really important skill for anyone entering either TV writing or comedy or sketch or improv or what have you. So my goal for this week is to start taking advantage of the free time that I have and putting a couple hours into sketches that I've been wanting to write or but not right. I've been wanting to record, but just haven't had the bravery, the that little push. Also, I want to practice tech skill every day. I want to get back into that rhythm, and just do 10 minutes. Just start slow and get back into a good habit where I stretch and do very deliberate, starting from basics, wave dashes, shield drops, good fast fall nairs from full hop, and very basic things, and start trying to give myself a foundational practice routine that's consistent. That's my goal for this week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And like starting small, I think is really good too. I really liked how you said that. Because it's about the consistency.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I guess my goals. I'm going to a tournament this Saturday. I'm going to Fireside Open in New Jersey.
Nice.
Should be pretty big. I think Vortex is going out there. Hacks, Zealous, Flex, all the New Jersey big bosses. Maybe Swedish. I'm not too sure. I think there's over 100 entrances, so that should be hype. So I'm feeling pretty good for that. I like playing against the New Jersey guys. I feel pretty comfortable around them. So I think I'm like, I don't have like a specific placing or anything I want, but like I definitely have a ton of new things I want to try out. And so I guess that sort of segues into my next thing where I didn't mention this before. I don't think you even know this, but I actually like within the last like 3 months or so started getting drug fox lessons.
What?
Yeah, because one of the advantages of not being in college or in high school is you have income, and so having income is an advantage that you should use.
Sure.
So I got drug fox lessons,
and how?
And they've been so good, dude. They've been so good. I could talk an hour about it.
Wow. I gotta start writing down all these things we gotta talk about, because drug fight lessons are. I'm sure he'd be happy with us talking about it. But man, I'm so curious. So how do those go? How does he teach?
So it really is like I really got it because I felt like after Omega, I felt like there was this. It was like kind of the first time where I'm like I felt a gap between myself and like the players that like I thought I could like get close to, but like just kind of was like out of the frame against them. So like players like I just got washed by Cody. I mean, Cody's sick and super good.
Yeah.
But like I just played so many great players at Omega. Like I played Triff, I played Over, I played like Cody, I played Milkman, I played and all of those guys like and it just felt like there was something. It felt like it was the first time I think since I started the game where I felt like they're seeing something that I'm not, and it's so clear that I'm not seeing it right now. And so that's sort of what prompted me to kind of like try to get into like his like lesson group and stuff like that. I was a patron already before that, but that's I think the best deal. $5, you kind of can listen to any lesson and have access to all of his videos. So really that's what started it, and I think really it's opened my eyes to like how much more I can be better. And I think the one thing is like he's shown me is that there is so many things I'm missing and that I can improve on. And I think that's encouraging. Like it is a lot and it is scary sometimes to think about, but I know that there are answers now and I'm not sort of like blindly going about it. And that's what I like,
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So in terms of lessons, really sometimes we only talk about 3 stock interactions. Like it's an hour and he analyzes 3 stocks of everything that like concepts, like macro concepts, micro concepts within like less than like half a game. Like we analyzed me against Lint, like a money match I did at the Albany tournament, See Me on Land 2.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we only got like 4 stocks in. 2 each, and it took the whole hour to just talk about that. So it's really crazy. But what I talked about last time was, and something he's like, it's like the idea of holding yourself to sort of a certain standard where it's not about necessarily like I think I fell into a trap of like I need to learn this matchup. Like we were analyzing me against Super, so New York doesn't have many Samuses, so it's like, I thought like I need to work on Samus, and he really just opened my eyes in terms of like, you don't actually need to work on Samus. You need to work on your defense and your general defense and your general like decision making and your general reactions. Like it wasn't even about the matchup point. Like it wasn't even like advanced matchup knowledge. It's about like, are you spacing this correctly? Are you like timing it correctly? Like, did you need to jump there? Do you not? It's like very simple stuff, but like holding yourself to a certain standard of like, my play is going to be consistently clean and executed properly, which is very hard to do.
Right.
Of course. But definitely that's going to be my goal coming into Saturday, to bring it all back. Because I could talk like hours about this.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about this next week because when's your next lesson?
So he's taking a break in December, so it's gonna be in January. But I take notes, and like I have my notes to look back on, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, really, that's really gonna be what I'm working on, is like being able to hold myself to a standard where I don't make those mistakes and that I execute my ideas properly. Aside from that, I kind of like practice like at least every other day, if not every day, like on the Uncle Punch Pack. I'll host some fests, like at least like I think 2 a week. And I like do analysis as I normally. I'm also holding myself to doing at least one set of like one analysis of a set every day. So at least there's going to be one set that I watch every day.
Man.
So that's sort of what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, dude, you're on a grind, man. Good for you.
Thanks. I just need to step it up, and I feel like what's interesting is I'm really happy we're starting this now, because I feel like this is the first time where I'm like, I've hit a wall, but that's okay. But I've definitely hit a wall, and I want to like just go past it already, because I think it can be discouraging, of course, because it like takes a while. But the fact that you're hitting a wall means you're so close. It's like just the last push,
Right.
And that's sort of like my outlook on it, at least.
Yeah, it's a really good time to start documenting where you think you're at. Well, good luck Saturday. I'll be watching. I'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, man.
So, any final thoughts?
Yeah, like I think, I mean, just standard. Like, I guess this is what media people say, but like you can follow me at Wasabi_SBT. SBT stands for Supreme Beer Team, by the way. JD will tell you his tag, but I think, we really hope that you guys are excited for this as much as we are, and I'll figure out a way to start like a Q&A to just hear your first impressions, to hear if there are any questions you have about us. It's any topics that we can talk about next week. Or next 2 weeks, right? We're doing every other week.
Oh, are we? I didn't want.
Are we? Are you doing every week? I'm down for it.
I kind of want to do every week.
All right, let's do every week then. All right, well there you go, guys. Every week. I guess we have to get a Twitter account now that we know our title.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do, but it was a great start. So I just hope everyone's excited. I think that's really it.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited.
Yeah, and we'll find a way to like have like you listeners be more participators in this conversation.
For sure. Well, my DMs are always open at soonplayer7 on Twitter.
Classic.
And not really any. Oh, and JD Comedy Gaming on YouTube. I have a bunch of videos I'm really proud of on there. Recently did my second iteration of the New York City PR rap.
I have to talk about about that like some other time. Write that down as a topic because I have thoughts about it.
Okay.
Good thoughts.
Thanks. So that's about it. So goodbye.
Yeah. Bye, guys.